Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and lately I've been having a few people asking my opinion on Guild Wars 2 versus World of Warcraft. So Guild Wars 2 has been released for quite some time right now. It's been out for, I don't really know exactly how long, but I thought it would be a nice timing to actually talk about this. So I've played both games, I've tried experiencing every aspect in both games. Of course I played a lot more World of Warcraft simply because it's been out longer. And while people always ask me what game is better, I think it's really important to keep in mind that the reality is that the games will always coexist alongside each other. And even though one game will be bigger than the other, there's no reason you should be playing it just because it's bigger. Especially in the gaming community, there always seems to be a lot of hate towards the other games, like the opposing game. For example, Call of Duty players normally dislike Battlefield players, and League of Legends players do the same with Dota 2 players. And I think you should never be doing that in any kind of situation at all. Especially in Guild Wars 2 versus World of Warcraft, I think you should always make up your own opinion. In the end, you just want to be playing what you enjoy most, so don't let people like me telling you what to play. So what I'm not going to be doing is telling you which is better or which is worse. Obviously we are comparing oranges and apples. They are both fruits obviously, but they are completely different. World of Warcraft and Guild Wars 2 are completely different games. However, I will point out a few aspects of both games that I know and that I love, and that I dislike of both games. So of course those are just my opinions, but if you actually have to add something to this video that I forgot to mention, please put it in the comment section below, and I would love to read your opinion. So first of all, Guild Wars 2. Of course the game has been out for only a while right now, and I can't really tell you everything that I think of the game. However, I've played the game long enough to actually get an opinion of it. So first of all, the things that I like about Guild Wars 2. Well, obviously the game has been out recently, and the game is much more modern than World of Warcraft. The graphics are much better, just the way the animations are run in the game are much clearer to me than World of Warcraft. Another thing that I really love about the game is that you do not need gear to be the best. You actually are geared up as soon as you enter a PvP world, and you will actually be having the same gear as your opponents. Obviously the graphics look absolutely amazing. I totally love all the graphics in the entire game, and I think they are much better looking than World of Warcraft graphics. I personally enjoyed the PvP a lot. Actually, the PvP is incredibly balanced already for such a new game, and I especially enjoyed World vs World. It's a great open world just to fight your opponents, play other servers, which is absolutely amazing. It works really smoothly and it's a lot of fun. Another thing that I really like about Guild Wars 2 is the character creation. The character creation is so superb. I've never seen anything like it, and I really like that aspect of the game. Also, I forgot to mention that at the graphics side of things, the graphics look amazing, but the world also is really alive. You have a lot of MMORPGs that the world actually doesn't feel alive in. You just feel like you're walking in this open space, but in Guild Wars 2, you really feel like the world around you is living. All the NPCs around you actually tell you stories, which is absolutely amazing. They are all voice acted, and it just feels like you are in a real world. Also, opposed to World of Warcraft, the game doesn't have much of a grind. For example, in World of Warcraft, you can start grinding reputations, but you don't really have that in Guild Wars 2. Another thing that I really love is actually the crafting system. The crafting system with the discovery panel is simply amazing. I really enjoy that, and it's much better than actually just some pale crafting, where you just make some stuff and you level up. This actually adds some thinking to the crafting system. Also, another thing that I didn't expect at first is that I actually enjoyed questing in Guild Wars 2. I actually never expected this. It was kinda weird for me at first, but I actually enjoyed going from hard to hard. And of course, all those dynamic events that pop up all around the world are seriously amazing. They are so much fun to do, and that doesn't happen really in World of Warcraft. You have something like that, but it's nothing like it is in Guild Wars 2, where you're just questing and all of a sudden you're attracting to some kind of quest in the middle of the map and you just start doing that. The combat system in Guild Wars 2 is much better than World of Warcraft, in my opinion. Just the animations look so smooth, the weapons are really amazing, and especially the weapon combinations are a lot of fun to deal with. However, there are also a bunch of things that I don't really like about Guild Wars 2, and especially the way you're moving around doesn't really satisfy me. It feels kind of clunky when you're moving around. Like when you hold down right mouse button and you actually turn, it doesn't really feel snappy. It doesn't feel like you're really behind your character. I don't really know how to explain it properly, but the camera is just too slow for me. It's actually really hard to complain about this because I can't really explain it, but just the controls and the way you control your characters aren't really the way that I like it. Also, in Guild Wars 2, I really dislike that there are no mounts in the game. And I know there's a teleport system, but I personally love mounts. And it's kind of dislike for me that there are no mounts in this game. However, the biggest point that I don't like about Guild Wars 2 is that there are no raids at all. There's no raiding in the game, which is probably my most favorite point about World of Warcraft. I just love progressing through all the gear and the content that you have in World of Warcraft, and there's simply not something like that in Guild Wars 2, so that's a huge minus for me. So next up is World of Warcraft, and like I already mentioned, in World of Warcraft I simply love raiding, while all gearing up and we're all helping each other to become better at the game. It's actually so much fun to do this a few times a week, and to actually just make friends doing this. I kinda miss this in Guild Wars 2, where you don't really have the big raids like in World of Warcraft, but yeah, that's just personal preference. Another thing that I really love about World of Warcraft is just the sheer amount of the size of the world. It's so big that it's so hard to actually come everywhere. There's probably so many places that I've never visited before, and I just can't wait to actually visit those zones, to actually see what quests are there and how the people are right there. There's just a huge amount of content to do. Every spot in the entire world actually has achievements, quests, and just things to discover, and that's just a huge plus for me. Another thing, like I already mentioned, in World of Warcraft I love collecting mounts. Mounts is just so much fun, and I don't really get why they aren't in Guild Wars 2, even though they aren't necessary. In World of Warcraft there's a very noticeable feel of progression, especially while you're leveling up, but also when you're at the max level, when you're actually just getting stronger and when your gear gets better, and when you can actually keep track of the amount of DPS you're doing and just comparing it to your DPS last week. It's just so much more fun to actually see that kind of progression, and I kinda miss that in Guild Wars 2. Also, another thing that I really like about World of Warcraft is the use of add-ons. The add-ons are simply amazing. You can just have so much more customization than in Guild Wars 2. That is just really nice. Another thing that I enjoy about World of Warcraft is the lore. The story behind the two opposing factions. The Horde versus the Alliance, and it's just so much fun to actually see all that stuff. It's a really polished story. The entire game actually is really polished, and I really enjoyed that part of the game. However, there's also a bunch of things that I don't like about World of Warcraft. For example, the graphics. The graphics are obviously dated. There's really no one anymore that makes that kind of graphics in a new game, and I don't really enjoy that part. Even though it doesn't look bad, I wish it would look a little bit more like Guild Wars 2. Another thing actually about that progression that I talked about earlier is that you can only be the best when you have the best gear. And that kinda sucks, because when you have bad gear and you are actually a really good player, it will simply not show up because you have bad gear. And that actually is a really hard thing to keep in mind when you're creating a game. Also, the character creation in World of Warcraft is simply terrible. You have a few options to do, but really every other troll in the game pretty much looks exactly the same like you, except for a little bit of skin color and the nose that they have. The questing in World of Warcraft is terribly dull. It actually gets boring really fast, and I do not enjoy that part of the game. Also, I remember when I first started out with World of Warcraft, it was actually really hard to get into. The controls are kinda weird at first, and you have to give it some time before it actually becomes fun. At first, you are actually the first 20 levels or so, you are just doing some boring questing and it all feels really dated, but as soon as you get further into the game, it gets a lot more fun. However, one big concern with World of Warcraft is that it actually starts feeling like a job really quickly. If you enjoy that, however, if you enjoy that kind of progression, it's a good thing. But for me, it's kind of tough to sometimes log in and feel forced once again, well, of course, forced between quotation marks, to actually start raiding, even though it's a lot of fun. So of course, I only have so much time to put into each video, and there's a lot of points that I actually didn't mention in this. So if you have anything, please put it in the section below, and I'd love to read your opinion. Please help me out with coming up with more points. So for me personally, I think I enjoy World of Warcraft a little bit more, simply because of the raiding and the mounts and the sheer amount and the sheer size of the world. I've always loved raiding in the game, and the progression that you have with your friends, with 9 or 24 other friends that you don't really know at first, but that you just start having fun with every other day, is just a lot of fun. However, Guild Wars 2 is definitely not a bad game at all. If you enjoy kind of the solo playing style where you don't need as many people, it's simply an amazing game, and at the very least Guild Wars 2 pushes the MMO genre in a right direction. They introduced so many amazing new features, but I just think World of Warcraft is a little bit more the game for me. However, the great thing about Guild Wars 2 obviously is that there's no subscription fee. You only have to buy the game once and then you can just come back whenever you want it. And I will definitely be playing Guild Wars 2 every now and then. So hopefully I gave you some insight in both games and actually my idea about both games. However, now it's actually time that you experience both games and make up your own opinion. I hope you found this video useful, and I'd love to read your comment in the section below. As always, please hit me a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and if you didn't, please let me know why, and I'd like to know what you think. So, I want to thank you all for watching, have a great day, and I see you again. Bye!